Hi guys, it is April from Getting Hygge with It, and I've got my little baby girl with me. Her name is Nora Poppy, and I'm so excited that I get to introduce her to you finally. It's been a long time coming, so let's get into it. Little Nora Poppy was born on August 25th at 11:17 p.m. and she was a decent sized baby. I'm very proud of her. She weighed 8 pounds 6 ounces, and she is really long, like incredibly long. She is 20 inches long, and that actually makes a lot of sense because Barry was a very long baby and he's 6'5" now. He was either 22 or 23 inches when he was born. I was nothing like that. But she's very long and very, very cute. I was so excited when she came out and they put her on me, and I saw that she had brownish black hair. I don't know if it's brown or if it's black, but I had always pictured her having brown hair. So my initial due date was August 22nd. So she was 3 days late, and I was about to be induced the next day. They were going to do like a Foley catheter thing, and I was gonna do that and like hope that labor starts and everything. But she came along on her own. I'm gonna do a separate labor and delivery story. I had an interesting time of it. I had planned to do a completely natural birth, and then life has plans of its own. I want to do a separate video about that because I ended up having a really positive labor. I'm really happy with how it turned out, considering that it didn't end up being natural, but the delivery itself was traumatic for me. So it's interesting because a lot of people have, I wanted to have a completely positive birth story. That was my goal. That's partly why I wanted to have natural birth. And it feels like you either hear really great stories or really traumatic stories. And so I want to tell a middle of the road story, which is my story and her story. So I'm going to do a whole separate video about that. But she is here and she is so wonderful. She's so inquisitive and calm for the most part, unless there's something wrong. She's a pretty calm baby and just wants to be held and loved and just loved up. Hey baby girl, oh my goodness. So in this video, I did want to tell you about her name, because we didn't tell you guys her name. I really didn't tell a lot of people her name. I think I ended up telling, well, we told our families, we told a couple of friends, and that was pretty much it. Like, really, we kept it to ourselves. Just, you know how sometimes people will just say what they think about the name that you've chosen. If they don't like the name, they'll let you know before, just in case. Like, I knew Christine and she was terrible, and so they like want you to cross it off. I just didn't want to have any of that, like just generally in my life, so we just didn't tell anyone, or not many people, I should say. But yeah, so her name is Nora Poppy, and her first name, Nora, is named after Nora Ephron. I'm already gonna cry. Nora Ephron. Nora Ephron was a writer, a screenwriter, a director. She wrote When Harry Met Sally, which is my favorite movie of all time. She wrote Sleepless in Seattle. She directed Julie and Julia. You've Got Mail. I've always loved her movies, and I've always loved her writing. And she's someone who I've always looked up to, and the things that she's created in her life have really comforted me. We had music from her movies at our wedding, like when the guests were waiting for me to show up. I was a little bit late. Anyway, they were listening to Nora Ephron soundtrack, basically, from her movies. And after I had my miscarriage with my first pregnancy, I had to go in and have a D&C because they were worried about infection. And we came home that night or that afternoon from the D&C, and I was, as you can imagine, completely devastated. And I remember Barry got us set up downstairs in the basement, and he put on When Harry Met Sally. And it was like a moment where I thought, this moment is okay, and I hadn't felt that. I had not felt that. We also have a quote up in Nora's room. Oh, you're upset. We have a quote up in Nora's room that says, above all, be the heroine of your life, not the victim. And I think that's a really good, thing to stand by for a girl, or for anyone really. But, I just loved the name Nora. And we had a couple of names chosen, but it was decided pretty early on that she was going to be a Nora. And she came out and I was just like, yep, she's still a Nora. Her middle name is Poppy. And again, I'm going to cry. She's named Poppy after my grandfather, who I called Poppy. It's my maternal grandfather. And he was like my childhood. Like, he was so involved in my childhood. We'd go over to my grandparents' house every weekend, every Sunday. We'd go over, and Poppy would act like a giant kid. And the funny thing is that my Poppy was actually an incredibly intelligent man. And in his life, I mean, he fought in World War II. He was a diplomat and moved from country to country, city to city around the world right after World War II, pretty much. My mom was born in England, and then they moved to Germany very soon after the war. And I mean, he had just fought against Germany, but they loved Germany, and they lived in Washington, and they lived in New York. Poppy hated New York, and my mom loved it. She was a teenager. And he was genuinely a really intelligent man. But with kids and with me, like, he would act like he was completely dumb, like entirely dumb. And he was hilarious and like really was a kid with us, like really actually truly played with us. And he was kind and generous and thoughtful and just the most wonderful man. The other thing that I forgot to mention about Poppy is funny because she was, 3 days late, but I genuinely thought that she was going to come on his birthday. His birthday was August 23rd, and I had a false alarm on August 23rd. I thought my water broke that day. It hadn't, but we went to the hospital like with the bags packed. Like, I genuinely thought my water had broken. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, she's going to be born on the same day as my Poppy, but false alarm. But it was just a really funny kind of, moment. I think he would have had a really good laugh over that one. I really wanted to, name her after him as well. This is little Nora Poppy, named after two wonderful people. So this little one, little Nora, is just honestly a wonderful baby. Like, she is eating really well. She's sleeping really well, unless there's something wrong. Like, we didn't have a great night last night because she had some gas. But don't we all have bad nights when we have gas? She's eating well. Right now we have to do quite a bit of formula because my milk production is not really coming in, and I knew that this could happen. I went to this lactation consultant course before the baby came, and I was really excited about it. And she said, here are the people who might have a difficult time breastfeeding. And she went through the list, And the last one on the list was, if you've done IVF, you might have a hell of a time. And I did IVF, and she came over after, and we were talking. She's like, have your breasts changed over the course of your pregnancy? And I was like, yes. And they hadn't. I think I was just like wishful thinking. They had not changed at all. So yeah, so I've been struggling with it for that reason. And I also lost a lot of blood during the delivery. It was like, I'm still lightheaded a lot of the time. And she's, are you 3 days? No, you're 4 days old right now. Yeah, she's 4 days old right now. And I'm still lightheaded, but I'm slowly starting to get stronger, which is really nice. So we're still, like, I'm still trying to breastfeed, and I'm pumping. Yesterday I pumped and was able to get some colostrum out, which was like a hallelujah moment for me. And I got to give that to her, and I just felt like, I don't know, on cloud nine. I was so happy. So we're still like not giving up on breastfeeding, but there was one day soon after she was born when she didn't pee at all, and I just was terrified of you know, her being dehydrated and not getting nourishment and stuff. So I was like, this is not worth it. Like, I want to breastfeed, but I'm not so tied to it that I'm not gonna give her formula. So we'll see what happens. Taking it one day at a time, and I'm gonna start some supplements that a lactation consultant recommended to me when she came in to the hospital before I left. I saw one, and she was amazing and helped me learn latching a little bit better, because that was really painful. But yeah, so we'll see if we're able to get that on board, but she's doing so well, and we're just so completely in love with her. Thank you to everyone who wrote something on my Instagram. I posted a couple of photos of her over there, and I got so many comments. I don't know if I'm going to be able to write back to everybody, but it was so nice, and like, you guys have been there for me and for her along the way, like sending prayers and just overall good vibes to me throughout the whole thing. And you guys know how nervous I was throughout it, and just having her in my arms is just, it's the best feeling, and I love her so much. And you guys will be definitely seeing more of her on this channel, that's for sure. I don't think I'm going to be able to like film and not have her in there, you know? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I wanted to do a little video to celebrate baby Nora's arrival. I hope that you guys are doing well, and I will talk with you soon. Bye.